let's talk about opacity. What opacity mean? Okay, the transformation of CSS has made it possible to add opacity as part of the RGB. So if you check, you can see opacity or the RGBA. The A there stands for alpha. Okay, it shows an amount of what opacity that is attached to the red, green, and blue colors. When we say opacity, opacity comes from the word opaque. Okay, CSS3 introduces opacity property, which allows you to specify the opacity of an element and any of its child element. The value, okay, is a number between 0.0 and 1.0. So 1.0 is the highest, okay, and then 0.0 is the lowest. So you can get 0.1, which means 10% in percentages, 0.5, which is what, 50%, okay, 0.15 50%, 0.45 45%, 0.60 is 60%, okay, opacity. Now the RGBA property allows you to specify a color just like you would do in the RGB, but now adds a fourth value to indicate opacity. This is known as the alpha, like I said. So RGBA stands for red, green, blue, and alpha, and the alpha represents the opacity between 0.0 and then 1.0. okay, the RGBA value will only affect the element on which it is applied. It doesn't apply to child elements. Some browsers will not recognize RGBA colors. You can what, offer a fallback. That means in case you are using a browser that does not support RGBA, it should what, display a solid color instead of displaying it with the opacity. Okay, so there are rules that apply to the same element. You indicate that, okay, if this does not take the RGBA, it should take this color. You can specify it either in a hex code or using a color name or using the RGB. So if the RGBA does not work, it should fall back on the RGB or the color name or the hex code